Have you ever noticed? Some people have big goals, strong ideas, and genuine potential, yet they never seem to move forward. They spend weeks preparing, months planning, sometimes years waiting, not because they don't care about success, but because the possibility of failure feels heavier than the possibility of success. Today, we're exploring the psychology of people who are afraid to fail and why this fear often stops people long before failure ever does. 1. They take failure personally. For many people, failure is simply an outcome. Something worked, or it didn't. But for those who fear failure deeply, it feels far more personal. A failed project doesn't feel like a project that failed. It feels like proof that they weren't capable enough. A rejected application doesn't feel like one missed opportunity. It feels like a judgment of their value. As a result, every challenge begins to carry emotional weight far beyond the situation itself. And when failure feels connected to identity, taking risks becomes much harder. 2. They spend too much time imagining what could go wrong. Before taking action, their attention immediately jumps ahead. They picture embarrassment, disappointment, regret. Negative outcomes play out vividly in their imagination before anything has actually happened. Because of this, the experience feels risky long before the first step is taken. The problem is that the human mind rarely creates balanced predictions. It tends to focus on dangers more than possibilities. So instead of seeing what might go right, they become trapped by everything that could go wrong. 3. They delay decisions to protect themselves. From the outside, it can look like procrastination, but underneath it, something else is often happening. Making a decision creates the possibility of being wrong. Taking action creates the possibility of falling short. Waiting feels safer, not because it solves anything, but because it postpones the emotional discomfort attached to uncertainty. Unfortunately, the longer people avoid decisions, the more intimidating those decisions become. 4. They become overly concerned with other people's opinions. Failure becomes much more frightening when it feels public. Many people aren't just worried about the outcome itself. They're worried about how others might react. What will people think? What if I disappoint someone? What if I look foolish? As a result, their attention shifts away from growth and toward approval. And when avoiding judgment becomes the priority, opportunities are often sacrificed in the process. 5. They forget how success is actually built. One of the biggest misconceptions about successful people is that they somehow avoid failure. In reality, most successful individuals have experienced plenty of setbacks. The difference is that they don't interpret those moments the same way. They see mistakes as information, feedback, experience, a lesson that helps them adjust their approach. People who fear failure often assume that falling short means they should stop, but growth usually works in the opposite direction. Improvement happens through correction, skill develops through repetition, and confidence grows through experience, not through getting everything right the first time. The fear of failure isn't really about failure itself. It's about what failure seems to represent. Rejection, embarrassment, disappointment, a threat to how we see ourselves. But avoiding every chance of failure comes with its own cost, because every opportunity that could go wrong also carries the possibility of going right. And sometimes, the biggest obstacle isn't failing. It's never giving yourself the chance to find out what you're capable of.